topic is Professor G. Ramesh. Professor G. Ramesh is a fellow of IIM Ahmedabad in finance. His expertise lies. He has recently retired from the Center of Public Policy in IIM Bangalore. He's involved in supporting incubation center and mentoring startups in positioning, productizing and packaging and scaling also. He is also writing a book on nuggets from the Nukkad. This will be a story of entrepreneurs, basically a journey of entrepreneurship. So through this session, why do you think this is of importance? Yes, this has a great importance as unicorns are a great source of inspiration these days. But it is important to keep some crucial points in our minds in the journey of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs these days are relentlessly chasing unicorns and often find themselves losing their way aimlessly. Entrepreneurs need to strike a balance while being on their journey. This session will adapt a staged approach and navigate through various checkpoints in their journey. In this session, Professor will also guide the entrepreneurs through these stages and show them how to position themselves effectively to reach each stage of entrepreneurship. So without losing any time further, I would like to open the floor for Professor Ramesh. And we welcome you, sir, and thank you so much for your precious time for our startups.
Thank you, Atsla. I mean, I was actually looking forward to meeting your entrepreneurs. I heard about your incubation lab, and I'm always inspired by the technology incubation labs. I mean, of course, we have an incubation lab in our place also, and also incubation labs promoted by VCs. But I think technology incubation lab is something very special. Second thing I would say is that, in fact, I keep studying incubation labs globally, including what Stanford is doing and other schools doing. And definitely IITK and IITs are all one of the leading incubation labs. I mean, and that's why I was very keen to meet these people. And then maybe if I can, one, as you said, provoke their thoughts and get their insights also, how they really look at things. And also if we can inspire some of them to become unicorn. Ultimately, I mean, IITK would like some unicorns in the portfolio, isn't it? I mean, and like you have many other successful entrepreneurs from the past. So this is very important, even more as an incubation as a proof of concept, to have a unicorn in your portfolio like that. So I'll just share my screen and then so that is this
yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah. So let me start with this example of diamond. Okay. So diamond, if you see, like, it's valued by cut, clarity, color, and carat like that. And it can range from what you call very flawless, diamond, and of course, flawed diamond, you won't say, but it's more like, how much incursions it has got and things like that. Okay. Inclusion, sorry. So a good diamond is actually a combination of all the four. Okay. All the four are very critical, and then it makes the value. Okay. And then imagine one diamond telling the other diamond, both of us are, say, why is it that you're almost 3x my valuation or 5x my valuation? Like we keep talking about the valuation or like that, So that's where, I mean, we should be really looking at, maybe everything is same, technology is same, content is same. Probably you're also doing whatever the unicorn is doing, but still you are not a unicorn, But I'm also trying to say that don't get into that tension, okay? Suppose I always tell people, the story of that nuggets from the Nukkad is that there are also, for me, even ordinary, all these entrepreneurs are all successful for me. You ask any entrepreneur, if they all keep saying that I want to be a Narayan Murthy, I want to be a Premji, I want to be a Bill Gates, then all other guys will cease to matter actually, but all of them make this ecosystem, It's not just unicorns and then the superstars that they make the unicorn, the entrepreneurship ecosystem. I mean, you cannot just say that, if you want to start acting, I want to be Rajinikanth, I want to be Amitabh Bachchan, like that. So there are a lot of other actors also in the play, and others also who play the role, and also in making them the superstars or like that. This is the theme. But I'm also going to say that it's not that you chase or should you not chase. Yes, you should chase. But I'm trying to say that there are stages before that, and there are ways to do that without yourself, either getting burnt out in the process, or losing track and falling apart in the process. That's going to be the story of my this talk. Now, let me start with this model. There's a firm A and firm B. Okay. Firm A top line is 40 million. Firm B is also 40 million. The bottom line of firm A is minus 10 million. Other one is 2 million. And one is 1 billion. Other is actually $200 million valuation. Okay. I mean, somebody can throw light. I mean, how is it possible that, let's say, just to simplify the thinking, both are from the same sector. One is 40 million, to other is also 40 million. But one is earning 2 million profit, but other is actually minus 10 million. And I get zapped sometimes. This is sort of closer to reality of two firms I'm having in my mind. Not very far from that. Okay. Could be probably half X of that or quarter X of that. Okay. But this is more or less true. Okay. How is it possible that this guy has got a $1 billion valuation and the other guy has got a 200 million valuation? Somebody would like to quickly throw something at it, at the chat? Yeah. Firm B would have spent aggressively on growth and expanded. No, but firm B, then in fact, firm A would have spent. That is why it's minus. Okay, firm B would have been actually very cost conscious and very, because both have got the same top line. In fact, if you ask me, if firm A is actually splurging and it is getting rewarded for splurging, isn't it? I mean, and this is what, this is really the one, I would say, if I can really call it, somebody also in the LinkedIn, when we posted, he said, yes, firm should chase value and not valuation. If you chase value, you end up as a firm B. And if you chase valuation, you end up as firm A. So what do you want to chase actually? Okay. So it's really a very paradoxical question that's happening. In fact, we finance professors, we keep asking, like what we teach in the classroom is very different from what is really happening in the valuation world and the entrepreneurship world and like that, Maybe they think that firm A, whatever we call as splurging, probably is investing for the future. And they're really looking at a break-even period or a payback period of 5-7 years. And these guys just want to be, penny wise, let's say, like the traditional business model, where it thinks that, every product you sell should make profit. And at the end of the day, you should be really profiting. Okay. So one top of the line I'm saying, but after we go through the presentation, let us see if we can draw some reason for this. Okay. Meanwhile, you can also think about what can be the reason. Somebody else said it, but I invested in, that's a firm, exactly. So it might have invested in product, IP, building. So what are these called? These are all called intangibles, isn't it? So you really spend a lot on the intangibles. And would you call this splurging? Because not getting reflected on the bottom line. But that's a question we'll really discuss during the session. If you really look at the graph, so if you look at the time period, let's say you move from T1 to T2 to T3. T1, T2, T3 can be like, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, or 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, like that, depending on the firm, products, like that. Let's say in T1, you have 25 million valuation. T2 is 100 million. And when you reach T3, it is 1 billion. But the reality is maybe from T1 to T2, okay. In fact, if you reach T1, that's the sort of firm I love. Them I can take them to 100 million easily, okay. And if I reach T2, I can again help them go to T3. Actually, the struggle is really reaching T1. and from T1 to T2. That's why I put it like it's a zigzag path. And what we call as, infant mortality, that happens before T1. Okay, and most of the firm actually perish in that phase, or they just chug along. They get about 1 or 2 million turnover, and they are just explore. They keep on saying that we are upgrading, 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 and we are installing like that. But they don't really have no plans for scaling and like that. Okay, now a firm has reached 25 and 100. Then it's really struggling to reach 100 million. Okay, this is again the sort of the scaling period. I mean, the 25, what happens when you reach T1, you have established a proof of concept, you have established your product, you established your processes and delivery mechanism, and you've got a team and like that. So you've got every template in place. Okay. Or even why 25 million? Even with 5 million, you can reach that. Okay. Depending on the product. And then, and then the type of technology and the sector that you are dealing with and like that. Okay. Now, from there to 25 million also is not so easy. Okay. I was watching one firm, it reached up to 20 million valuation like that. 20 million valuation could mean that probably it's having a turnover of 2 million, 5 million, and like that. Okay. Or even lesser than that. But the thing is, the guy is stuck there. Suddenly, there's a flush of orders, but there's a competitor has come, and then he started losing his employees. In fact, okay, and suddenly he couldn't deliver. That's between the T1 and T2. That's $2,500 million. So my first principle that I'm going to say now is that when you talk of $1 billion or unicorn and like that, first stage, you really start targeting 100 million. Okay. So, or even before that, if you are there, target 25 million. Okay. Then you target 100 million. See, look at even how we might have won the last cricket match. Okay. Maybe first they said that we'll survive the first 3 overs. Okay. Then we'll cover, minimize the lead. Then finally, last 3 overs, just go for the bang. Okay, that's how it really happens, isn't it? You don't really say that I'll start playing for the win. So you really plan for the next 3 overs, next 10 overs, and then last 3 overs. Okay. So like that, here I'm saying, how fast you can take it to $25 million? And for $25 million, what is it that you want to really establish? Okay. Which is something like getting, let's say, $3 to $4 million top line or something like that. Okay, you will not be profit making at that stage, or you may be just, it may not be profit making, but probably cash surplus and things like that. Okay, you are breaking even, let's say. Okay, and from there, T1 to T2, then you should be able to establish your ability to scale and ability to penetrate market and ability to deliver at that scale and like that. Okay, and you should be able to scale the employees also. Human resource a very big issue. Okay, now if you reach T2, okay, in fact, Vatsal, I would rather say that we should have a target that our incubation center will have at least 10 startups with the level of 100 million valuation, let's say by 3 years or something like that, let's say. Then by almost 5th or 7th year, you can have at least 2 unicorns. Okay, so that's also a way for us to fix our own targets and like that. That at least 10 startups should have a 2 to 3 year evaluation of $25 million, and and then some you fix. I mean, internally, if you make an assessment of all your startups, we can make an assessment of who can reach where and how do we really take them there. Because not all of them require the same solution, and not all of them will require the same thing. Yeah, firm is on a bigger goal. The firm is on a bigger goal. It sometimes can be what I can say. I mean, I watched. Let's say, I was in fact in 2000. I was running one startup, which was funded by an investor from Hong Kong, and he used to keep sending us like every week like $200,000, $500,000, like that. And we'll not 500 but 100 to $200,000. We used to keep giving him stories that, oh, just wait for the next quarter, oh, just wait for the next half yearly, oh, just wait for the next yearly, and like that. Okay, so this goal is fine, but what I'm saying is you need to really break it, and how concrete is your goal, and how, and I mean, or the timeline set for the goals. Goals without timelines have no meaning, and goals with timelines without action plans have no meaning. So I mean, again, somebody is valuing you. When I say this is the difference, okay, 40 million is a, let us take it as a fact, okay. Minus 10, 2, there's some accounting involved, but let's take it still as a fact. But valuation is something somebody else is giving you that valuation. Let us say the market is giving evaluation. It's not that it's a self-evaluation. It's not even by a consultant. Somebody is willing to put a money on that based on this valuation. Then it shows your business model is actually proven in the market. In fact, I always say that that's another thing, Vatsalaji. Until somebody puts even $1 on the firm, it's not completely vetted, I would say. I can
Yes.
come, I can be a panelist with the product. Some other process can do that. Some marketing person can do that. But even if instead of being a professor, but if I come in as a professor, come investor, and if I put even $10, then you can say the product has got a meaning. The startup has got some life. Okay. Because till then it's all conceptual. Okay. That's how I would really put it. Okay. Because then it has passed that stage gate, as I call it. And these are what I call as stage gates, in the sense, can you have some, of course, this 2,500 will vary. For another firm, it could be 100, 50, and 500. Okay. So it depends upon which sector we are dealing with and what's the timeline we are dealing with, and like that. So this is what I wanted to share to begin with. When I say, should you be? Yes, you should be. But there is a proportion. So if you start in T1, if there are 100 firms, T3 maybe 2 firms may reach. Because think of it, for the whole country, you still have only 100 plus unicorns, isn't it? It's not like we are really splurged with unicorns like that. And we are number 2 or number 3 globally. That means maybe, for example, I think I'll give this Israel example when I'm speaking. Israel doesn't have so many unicorns like that. Okay. So there is something about, we can chase unicorns, but probably unicorn doesn't really describe the ecosystem for entrepreneurship. Okay. Probably it's just a symptom of the ecosystem of the entrepreneurship, that is successful symptom, but definitely it's not an acid test for an ecosystem. Okay. And because even the government should be really concerned about that. It cannot. Now, is my question relevant? Yes, because why I'm saying is that, so it's not that all of them want to be, unicorn, but they're all pitching themselves, keeping that valuation multiples. Okay, which is what is really, not able to raise the funds. So everybody, of course, have a right to feel like the bride of the town. Okay. But the point is, when you go outside and you say that he has got so much, that person has got so much, and why can't I put that multiples like that? But I think they have themselves to do a lot of self-examination on, first of all, where is the value coming from, which I'll ask the questions in subsequent slides. And then where do you stand on those valuation, value delivery you're talking about, value propositions you're talking about, and then like, how does it benchmark against other guys? Or even things like, if somebody gives you 10 million, what's your plan for that? Okay, you cannot keep it as a deposit, obviously, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Because the other guy is really expecting return on that. Okay, so do we have that? So the question is, because I keep asking, should I really be telling them? Because I still put unicorn, because unicorn really drives imagination. Okay, if I don't put unicorn, should you want to be a millionaire, means maybe, you will get probably 5 people to attend the call. Okay, if it is unicorn, probably, you get 5x people. And if you remember, in the LinkedIn, we got more than 1,000 views or something like that, when we posted it. So unicorn has got its own glamour, but I wanted to basically, talk about what is the nature of the beast that unicorn is. So one, I talked about in the previous slide, what it is when we are really talking about that, and what is it that we are really looking at. Incidentally, when I looked at that list, I was surprised. I thought it will all be tech, but look at it. Health tech, logistics, fine. And then mobility, of course. Then fintech, yes. EdTech. Okay. EdTech again is really education, but a lot of people are struggling with content. Okay. And including, ourselves, IITs and IIMs and then leading schools and like that. And then gaming, analytics. But look at it, meat. I was mentoring another startup which is in meat industry. And this guy was always looking at the other one, which was already unicorn. Okay. And meat industry, why? I mean, how would anyone think like meat industry to be unicorn like that? But it is one of the unit is. Then this spa management, okay, and which is really I mean, I would say very inspiring and inspirational, I would say, and very interesting also. Food tech, of course. Food tech also, it may not be in the way we think, not like Starbucks and things like that, but it's something somebody is delivering, somebody is cooking, somebody is, making it, and they will be always incidentally. I tweeted recently saying that nowadays stories come like this. He is a millionaire, but he is not an IITian. Okay. He's a successful startup guy, but he's not an IMite. Okay. Yeah. Or even worse, somebody will say he's a unicorn, but he's a school dropout. Okay. It looks like, they're all, that's a qualification increasingly. Probably some of your incubation guy also should start thinking as like a non-IITian, non-IMite, I would say. No. I mean, you don't have to forget what they have done. Probably they have to think sometimes like a non-IIT and a non-IMite. Maybe that's the message I really get from that. When people say that he's not an IIT and he's not an IMite, because we may get carried away, with probably the technology, or we get carried away by some of the management principles, but probably on the field it's a lot of jugaad. Okay. And then food tech, then health, e-com. Okay. So what would I conclude? I mean, do you say that these 3-4 sectors your people should focus? Okay. But let me see if I had to analyze what could have really got them the multiples, what you call as X factor. Okay. One, I see technology, of course, common to all. Even if you take a spa or meat, okay, the technology, complete from end to end, from the procurement, company's procurement, and to them processing, and to your ordering, okay, and to their delivering, and the freshness, quality assurance. They use IoT to just track the freshness, and so there's a total technology involved there for which you are paying. Okay, and you are not even paying, actually, you're getting huge discounts on that, actually. Okay. And in fact, when my son or daughter orders, they look at where is the maximum discount they get. Forget it. I want to buy this today. Don't buy. No, 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 no. We are getting discount in this. Let's buy this. That's the way they really place their order. That's another business model. When we discuss, we can look at that. Second thing is they all mastered the way of delivering, the complete process management they have mastered. Okay. And that is where the valuation is. I mean, so it's not like, one guy they even set up an R&D lab for fish cultivation and culturing and things like that. Okay. And there is this tea startup. Oh, I have not included that. Okay. They even set up a training center for all the people who will be employed in, of course, tea processing and also tea. I mean, the guy who sits in the chai shop and then delivers their chain and like that. Okay. So they go as far as that, like when you call it, vertical integration, they go as back as possible for the delivery chain and as forward integration as possible in the delivery chain, and not only that, and you need to really master that either through yourself or probably you develop a network of firms and you have to also ensure that quality, so today this really great. So first thing I would say is technology. Second thing I would say is the process
Sir,
management.
just one small question.
Yeah,
Our incubation center has focused mostly on the manufacturing side,
yeah,
and it is very easy for any service sector companies to kick off, and you any incubation center or mentor can pave the way for them to achieve unicorn status
yeah,
as compared to the manufacturing sector.
yeah,
Any company who's working in manufacturing. And recently I was reading one article in The Economist where they have discussed about the manufacturing delusion,
yeah.
where they have stated that it is very difficult for a manufacturing company to produce in a higher amount and then maintaining that uh, climate change and all kind of social activism that is going around it. So how do you see that? Because that becomes very challenging for uh, any startup to take the NOC from different kind of departments, from pollution board to uh, many regulatory authorities who are working. uh,
One interesting question. I got your question. I mean, I'll interpret it in, a couple of ways. Okay. In 1930, one economist asked this question. Okay. So if everything is 1930, mind you, there's no outsourcing, there's no nothing of that, supply chain and all. I mean, nobody was talking about that. If everything can be outsourced, why firms produce? Why do you need firms? Okay. So I will ask that if everything service industry can deliver, why do we have manufacturing? The beauty is I kept saying everything's technology, technology, technology. But I should say that the Swiggies and others, Zomatos, and then all the Blinkit and all that, they still need people to deliver. Okay. And they still need people to manufacture. Okay. Now, I'll tell you one more factor which can happen. You are a manufacturer. Okay. Now, when you become a manufacturer, in that can you become an aggregator also? Okay. And when you become an aggregator, is when you really, get those multiples and valuations like that. For example,
Hello.
in fact, Tata Plastics did it, probably a decade back. Yeah, is anybody else talking? Somebody else.
Sorry, sir. Shivam, please.
Yeah. Tata Auto Plastics did. They were making parts for all the automobiles. Then they said we will really move up. So what did they do? They started making the aggregates. What did they do then? They started exporting. Okay. Now they have become the tier one manufacturer for all the automobiles and like that. Okay. So in manufacturing, the way that you move the value chain is moving, valuation is moving up the value chain, and then the scale also. But one thing I would say is that in India, at least now, we have missed the bus of manufacturing. So now the government is trying to catch up with the manufacturing. In fact, recently I wrote a report on what all DPIIT is doing to improve manufacturing sector and support manufacturing sector. So just be rest assured that whatever technology may speak and then other guys may speak, without manufacturing, none of these can survive. Now, coming to your question, is really about how do you bring in efficiency into it and how do you bring in technology into your manufacturing? Okay, one is you're going to manufacture, for example, right from IoT to automation to robotics and all those things you keep doing, then you really have a scale going. I mean, I think that's something we can learn from China. That's where they really more of the value chain.
And at the same time, sir, maintaining the sustainability
Hmm.
and escaping from social activism at the same time.
Social activism, yeah. So in manufacturing, what happens is that the, I mean, the more and more complaints come on the way. Okay. Incidentally, let me tell you one thing. I was also in the bank board. There also, if you look at sustainability of the bank, we pay a lot of price for ensuring the sustainability of the bank, financially and speaking. Okay, so everywhere there's a sustainability involved. So in manufacturing, you talk in terms of the compliances, okay, which is a must. Question is, are people willing to pay the price for it? Okay. Now, slowly, the market itself is driving towards that if you're not willing to pay the price for the quality or sustainability, then your own sustainability is at stake. Okay. So I think it'll happen. It's a sort of a transitory stage you're all going through in terms of manufacturing. But another thing I can say is that manufacturing has actually improved efficiency only from, what I can say, they say that the more and more you comply and then follow the risk management processes, okay, and quality processes, you actually save cost. So hopefully, and today, just I'm reacting to your top of the mind, people look at the total cost of ownership also. So tomorrow somebody may bring in this policy of you have to take ownership for the of rejected products. So, I mean, rejected, used commodities. Okay. Suppose you're a tire manufacturer, you have to buy back the tires. Okay. So when you look at all that, and slowly, all these regulations will happen. In fact, today there are aggregators who are handling only the waste management. In fact, one of the startup that's you can promote is waste management treatment, that you can open a vertical itself. That's a huge
We are.
opportunity that exists there. Okay, but we need technology for that and an aggregator. I call it in economics missing market. There's no market now. We can become the aggregator and create the market. Okay. So who knows, you may be manufacturing and somewhere you see an opportunity, then you become actually a, aggregator for something else, So keep this manufacturing as the thrust of your own, focal point and like that. Yeah, technology is disrupting. I'll come there because in fact, your valuation is for disrupting it, not playing along with it. I mean, and consumer behavior, yes. Yeah, see, this is network manufacturing aggregator. Yeah, thank you, Arjun. I mean, for really giving this example. And maybe by next call, I will analyze where is he getting this valuation and what is it that I can share. But the beauty is, I used to put long time back. If you look at the I had a 10-year figure back. Okay. If you look at the Ford top line and Cisco's top line, okay, Cisco's valuation will be multiples of Ford's valuation. Okay, I'm talking about market valuation, not any VC's valuation. Okay, so that is again something then the manufacturers got into despair. Listen, I'm delivering, profit per car I'm producing, and I'm showing top line. I got a 100-year history, and here it's a software company, hardware company, which gets a valuation like that. Of course, these are the product of the time we are living, and then what really delivers value now like that. Again, fourth industrial revolution is again a big opportunity. There you may not be manufacturing, but you may be again a service provider for manufacturing companies to become, fourth industrial revolution. I mean, what I can say, consultant there like that. In fact, all the consulting firms have opened a vertical there, So that's the sort of opportunities that they see there. So now let me move on. I mean, so what drives it? I don't know. I mean, I've just put out a list of factors from based on various papers that I read, right from Harvard Business Review to various talks and like that. Incidentally, most of them bleed. For all that we talk about, like minus 10 million, I said, most of them actually bleed. And then they all struggle on fulfillment. Okay. There is an issue, and then I don't know, they're improving, but because there's over promising, trying to say I'll deliver in 10 minutes, I'll deliver in 20 minutes and things like that. Whereas even ambulance reaches longer time than these guys. My tomato reaches faster than ambulance, that's the way it is now. Okay. And so is it like what drives valuation versus value proposition? Okay. So I just, on top of the mind, put word is like aspiration and passion. So when you started it, this is what you wanted, value proposition. You started the value proposition saying, here is a niche, here is my strength. I identified this issue and this is what I wanted to do. But then if you look at the valuation, suddenly you take a jump. Okay. At some point you yourself change and say, no, you start chasing more valuation than value proposition. I'll give a very stark example for that. In 2015, probably after the new government came, one team visited Israel to understand their entrepreneurship ecosystem. That had a combination of consulting companies, and then probably academicians and some startup companies and like that, and probably CA could have gone like that. One of the important things that they found in that was that the people who are really like, today everybody is talking about Israel's technology and cybersecurity, warfare, defense, very high-end technologies. And then how they are also this technology provider to all the US companies, other companies in high-end technology. Okay, it's like they reside inside all this technology. Okay, like what you call Intel inside. They reside inside all those technologies. Okay. Now the beauty is they found that most of the startups or guys are like 35, 40 years or like that. They have put some 10 years, they understood the industry, and somebody would have been in defense industry, somebody would have been in chemical industry and all that, engineering and all. they know the whole processes, they know the whole, the
Sir,
product line.
one small thing, a
Yeah,
small question.
please.
So, is there any methodology that can actually make us understand about if we are like going to become absolute in the market, or we are saturating
Yeah,
in the
I have an observation, because when I'm speaking something, please raise with reference to that point. I mean, because if you raise something tangential, then how do I go back to my own point? Or I'm probably getting this, I'm going tangential from the topic probably. Can you just hold on for a few minutes? And when that point comes anywhere, you can just ask me that. Yeah, let me just finish this point. So what I'm trying to say is that when you're really making a high-tech thing, you need little more industry exposure. Okay, what I've seen mostly is that these IIT people and technology people, they've got a very great, many times solution. They're often looking for the problems where they can apply. Like I got something, I mean, I don't know where I shoot it like that. Okay. So for that, you need really industry exposure. Of course, that's where the IIT incubation labs bring mentors, industry practitioners from industries. You pick it up, of course, but please remember you have not been there. So that's something you should try to pick it up as fast as possible. And then of course valuation. I mean, that's always in fact, I put it like evaluation is financial engineering. This really value proposition is actually the real engineering that you people really started with, like that. And the business model and the revenue model, I mean, I wanted to make a simple point that a good business model may not be a revenue model. Okay, because even today, if somebody is going to charge you, even like 1 rupee per WhatsApp message or 1 rupee from Google Gmail, then our own behavior will change a lot. Okay. So, I mean, I found that many of them have got a good business model. I keep asking this question. So are people willing to pay for that, and how will you really, we call it value capture. How do you really propose to capture value? These are well known. Most of the people would have known it like that. And then what drives really the valuation? One thing, if you ask me, the other day also, I was called as a panelist for one of your startup selection. I was making this point that when we go to the IITs, we would be really looking at some high-end technology application, okay, which you are going to bring, even if it may be a fintech area, it may be a healthcare area, it may be a tech area, but I'm really looking at, a technology, high-end technology, which can solve the problem rather than, better delivery or better e-com like that. Okay. I think those things you can leave it to the IIM. I mean, because they learned more of that, but less of, then they forgot engineering rather. So, but it'd be really lovely if you people come up with great, unique engineering products and engines. And I'm always in search for that. And now it's a quantum world we are talking. And there are many other AI world we are talking like that. And again, is it for the, many times I have seen, valuation, product market and technology. Even if somebody running a startup for 3 years, if you engage with him for half an hour, 1 hour, you can reasonably confuse him with your questions. Okay, like, have you explored this? Have you looked at it? What's your market? Like, I was mentoring one tech company only. Okay, so they had one model which worked pre-COVID. Okay, but after the COVID, again, they're really left in the lurch. But then they could have used that period also to explore several other market. Okay, and how they could have really captured data like that. They had only thought of replacing the college education. Okay, but there are again probably 70% population which don't go touch the college point at all, or 80% which doesn't touch the college point, and that these people also was not the market for them. Whereas probably that's the market if you're really talking through edtech and like that. Okay, so that's where sometimes you opt yourself out of the market. So please do explore the complete market, and they look at all the horizontal and vertical integration that you can be really doing. And yeah, the transformational is, somebody in one of the chat, they said that, disruptive, they said. So when you say disruptive, that means you're really trying to be transformational. So the evaluation is again for that. Okay. Now I thought for my own, I wanted to see what others might be saying. So as usual, McKinsey put out these, 5 T's. They always try to make it like seven S's, five T's, three M's, or whatever it is, like teams, total addressable market, timing, technology. So many people will come and say, this is a $10 trillion. Somebody would have produced a report and say this is a $10 trillion. But where are you there? I mean, and which is your addressable market? Okay. And then timing, these things you would have gone through. I mean, I'm sure IT would have taken you through basic sessions. And then, they always say a key core business, we, in fact, the mission, the sort of the story now in even the large form is that, can you think like a startup? So when they are trying to think like a startup, you don't think like a large, don't think of some hierarchies, reporting structures, systems, and things like that. Okay, until you reach certain levels, because other companies want to be you actually. Why do you want to be them? Okay, so let that spirit still exist. That's what I really like about being at the startup. I mean, build collaborate ecosystem and learn from the past. But what I would say is that, like the diamond, you may have all this and you say, I can do all this, but then will I become a unicorn? Yes, that's still an issue, isn't it? So, but this is again some guidelines that they are giving. As I said, I will post these questions to you, this my last slide, and then, then you can really tell me whether you're there. One is, have you really understood the potential of your product? Okay. So if you're in the meat industry, if you're in the spa industry, if you're in the education industry, healthcare industry, there are so many other ways of looking at it. Okay, but somewhere you started and you're stuck in that, and you are not able to really come from that. Many times when I drill them deeper and deeper, people who have been with that industry, even once I was discussing with the transport sector MD. Okay, I said, have you looked at this possibility? Have you looked at that opportunities and all that? They say, no, we are struggling with this itself. We don't want to go there and things like that. Okay. Then have you understood the market? Like I said, what's really your market? Okay. And have you understood the customers? I mean, then I was saying in that edutech company that, you look at all the housewives who have dropped out after graduation or something, and then who later catch up with the workforce. Then there are skill market, then there are rural markets. Okay. So there are so many other opportunities which really exist. And today, actually, everybody wants to do a second degree. Just, the degree you do earlier is for the job. Second degree you do is for yourself, isn't it? I said, that's a great market. Probably I would charge that also, charge extra for that. Okay, because I'm really satisfying you now, So these are all the markets that really exist and customers. And sometimes people are, they come up with one single solution when they're present. I then keep asking them. It was actually, 3D printer also. And there's another startup in one of the IITs, that is AR, VR, and actually, virtual realities and all. I said, okay, give me a few more applications where I can really talk to the companies and come back. Okay. They said, no, sir, we can extend it anywhere. No, that's not the way, You really need to think through and then go to them with some applications. Then, as I said, is the business model clear and proven? And for themselves, for example, see, again, I put cost driver, is it clear? For example, one EdTech company told me that they got the lowest cost of acquisition. I said, that's a wrong metric to chase. Probably you should spend more and acquire more. That's what the other company is doing. Now you go back to that minus $10 million, that company is bleeding. It's really spending a lot, spending a lot, like you almost get your money equivalent in, set-offs and freebies and things like that. But then they're capturing the market very fast. Okay. So the cost driver, you could be chasing a wrong metric sometime when you do. Sometimes you don't have a good idea of the cost structure itself, or which one, how I should be really pricing it. Okay. And is the business model clear and proven like that? Then you can go as far as you want. So this is what I would really wanted to present. So going back to the question is really, this is what it is. How do you transit from T1 to T2 to T3? One thing is, in a seminar like this, you can ask a lot of, macro questions, but it's really about at your level, micro level, and entrepreneurship level, how do you want to transit, And I'll be happy to answer questions on this, like even specific question, but make it something which is generalizable for everybody. even if something pertaining to a enterprise and like that. And finally, I would say that should you chase build, should you be chasing unicorn? Yes, I always tell this to my students. Okay, and I am that if you are in a Formula One race, ये आपने बोल सकते हैं मैं अपने स्पीड में जाऊंगा. Okay, if you're running Formula One race, you have to run at Formula One speed. Okay, you cannot even run at national, other race speeds and things like that. Okay, you'll be just pushed sideways and then you will be just nowhere there. Okay, you have joined the Formula One race. If you have, got into the incubation center of IITs, and then you have to play it along, but play it along, knowing the rules of the game, play it by the rules of the game, and be smart. I would say that be smart rather than a lot of people will give passionate, and all that. Just rather, I would say that be smart, I would say. Get the multiples, Yeah. Yeah, Vatsala, now I can, there are questions probably posted on that.
Yes.
Yeah, the fourth industrial revolution, yes, please don't ask any. No, not, what I'm saying is that if it goes in some other direction, yeah, in case your product demands it. See, splurging is a wrong word. Splurging means actually, without a return, let's say. Okay, whatever else, what is the alternative to splurging? Investment. Okay. So investment is what I really meant. But sometimes when firms are bleeding, okay, and some of the valuations are unexplainable, and let us say it goes on quarter, then at least in hindsight, you can say splurging because it didn't really make the economic sense. Okay, so it has to really make the economic sense. Then yes, you should do that. But see, another thing I forgot, this is very important, Vatsalaji, for a tech firm is that T1 could mean only POC. Okay. T2 could mean maybe some 100 products you have made to establish. Okay. So there is like pharma product. AI products are all like the pharma product. You go through various products finally before it's really approved to be used on the consumers and like on the patients and like that. Okay. So some of these technology applications are like that, and people understand that the guys who buy you out or invest in you, they understand the future potential and value of your sort of the technology that you have come up with. So that they will be okay with. So the deep tech ventures, you should really see it as going that route. For example, I'll tell you, there was one startup, this was about 5 years back. He came to me saying you are developing a chip which will give 10x clarity to a mobile phone car, that camera, 10x, 20x clarity to the phone mobile, camera, and he said it will be as good as your eyes are seeing it. And they have got only a paper, and they've got 2-3 products made. Next is to make even prototype chip. Okay. Now, at that stage itself, they were getting a valuation of 10 million and things like that. If they make a prototype chip, it can be between 25 to 50. But for that, they have to spend about $2 million and things like that. So it progresses like that. It's not like e-com where you establish 100 shops, then you've got a basic core system, and then you keep developing it like that. So that clarity should be there, when you're in tech firms and like that. Yeah.
So, yeah, Charles, you have a question?
Yes. Thank you, Professor Ramesh, for this wonderful session. So I have 2 questions. So the first question is actually you told about the unicorn list, and there are very interesting, industries where we saw about meat and saloon and things like that. So like being an incubator lab, like when we look for when it's a tech, health tech or IoT, we know what we will evaluate so that we can take them in and support them to scale up and things like that. But as we saw here, you showed that there are saloon, there are meat companies who are now unicorns. So how do we, as an incubator, how do we evaluate them? How do we see them and see their potential? So how that will go about, that's something that came to my mind, how we can evaluate them and how we can support them as incubators.
I would rather say that you should really, you should really take products into your portfolio, taking into consideration where you come from. Okay. This is being an IIT. Okay. I'll tell you one thing, Charles. If there are other firms like the firm type of firms you are talking, there are 100 other institutions which can evaluate, but there are 100 other things those institutions cannot evaluate, which only IITs can take care. Okay, it needs the blessings of the IIT, some of those areas. That is where you should really focus, even if those are not unicorn. But as a consolation to you people, what I said is, even if they're 100 million, even if they're 10 million, you see a potential in 3-5 years, you should take it. Okay. But they have to be really hot technology area. Even in the startup I was telling few days last week, if any professor is excited about that there is a scope in this, and there's a R&D scope I see, and there's a technology scope I see, I can take it to, if it is at the 3G level, I can take it to 5G level, in, let's say in terms of generation. That's the sort of product that you should really take. In fact, I'm dead against even IIMs taking the e-com startups and then incubating and then wanting to be unicorns and like that. Okay, that the VCs can do that. The point is, what is it that, where do we come from? We come from science, technology, and then, and certain priority sectors what their government has defined, like quantum, AI, defense, okay, or probably even for agriculture, if you can bring in some technology or inclusivity, then those are really, that's what I would think so, if I had to really set an agenda, for IIT.
Yes, thank you, Professor. So my second question is, actually we talked about industry, like a company playing in the industry. So Michael Porter, like he talks about competitive advantage. So all the established companies, they see the industry they are in, and they place themselves, they position themselves in the industry. Suppose there's automobile industry, or there is like things like that. So they position themselves accordingly, and they play all the established companies. So far, if I look at a startup, when we are actually advising startups, or when we're supporting startups, so how relevant is it for them, like say Michael Porter's competitive advantage, how positioning themselves in the industry and all that? So how can we see it? Like, do you think
Correct.
that
So,
kind of,
Avinash, what happens is that when the startup presents to you, they say this is a 1 trillion market. Okay. Now you will say that of that, let's say 50% goes into hardware. Okay. So many other factors and like that, which you are not there. Okay. Then you will say another 50% of the balance goes to, the firms who are manufacturing themselves, and they may not be really outsourcing, and they will do it themselves. I'm really keeping one example last week I went through. Okay. So this is what McKinsey called it as total addressable market. So when you knock off whatever is outside your purview, which are already captured, or you are not hopeful of captured. Okay. Then you may end up with some $25 billion or $15 billion like that. There you see what is your reasonable expectation that you can really hit at them. Okay. Now the point is that how much you can hit really depends upon what's a deep pocket you've got, okay, or any unique feature you've got. Now I always give this advice to people, okay, because a lot of people are greedy that no, I don't. I say that if you think that you can partner with any of the big four guys or another tech company, and probably your product will see a light faster than you could have done, I think you should go for that. I'll tell you the reason. If somebody has to make a Lagan, and if it needs 100 crore, you cannot say, no, I will make it a 10 crore only, and then, it's my baby and like that. No, that's where the passion probably comes on the way. Okay. So you have to really see the interest of the project and then the interest of the product, how soon you can really, take it up, rather than, saying that this is my positioning, my way or no way, and like that. Okay. So addressable market is one of the things I'm trying to say. Second thing I'm trying to say is that, is there any way you can network and collaborate and then penetrate the market faster? Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor.
Yeah. Somebody asked me a question. Sorry, I said I'll
Yes,
come back to you later.
Vikash, are you here?
Sorry, I mean, I was in a,
No problems.
just want to finish the point then.
I think he
Okay,
has
but I left,
dropped
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Someone from Goenka sir, you wanted to ask a question. Just a second. Yes, he's still there. Deepak, are you here? Can you make him a panelist?
Is there a more appreciation for this slide? Why 1 billion and
Yes.
200 million and things like that? Yeah. Yeah, you wanted to ask something?
Yes, just a second, sir. We're making him a panelist. Yeah. So please type your question. In the meanwhile, we try to promote you as a panelist.
Ma'am, he is under the panelist.
Okay. Because sir, you had raised your hand. You wanted to ask a question. No, he is in the attendee link.
Yeah. Okay.
Convert into panelist.
Okay. Does anyone else have any more questions? Raghav, do you have any point to put forward? Okay, thanks. So,
Okay.
sir, yeah, thank you so much for your
Yeah,
participation,
thanks, Lord.
everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah. Thank you. I'll take leave.
Yes, so thank you, sir, for your time.
Yeah.
And it was a great session. And certainly we will have a few more questions coming back to you after the session.
I think if any startup has got any individual they want, they can always talk, call me
Sure,
back.
sure,
You can
sure,
look them up,
sure.
any specific thing they want to be addressed like that, keep problem.
We
Yeah.
will certainly connect.
Yeah.
Thank
sure.
you so much. Thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for your time. Thank you, everyone, for joining here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.